She worked multiple jobs to keep her family afloat. She was our matriarch and gave more than she ever asked for in return. In fact, the only thing I remember her asking for was to see us more. She gave me many things. She gave me courage, she gave me confidence, she gave me love. My grandma gave me the understanding that I could change my destiny, my path. That if I willed it hard enough, I could make anything happen. If she could carry her sons and daughters on her shoulders for decades, surely I could face my own obstacles. That was her gift to me. She saw many things in life. The Great Depression, World War II, commercial flight, the Civil Rights Act, the computer, amazing amounts of progress and transformation. The one thing she did not see in her 97 years of life, though, was a Cubs World Series championship. My grandma died on October 2nd, 5 days before the Cubs playoff run. As far back as my memory stretches, my grandma lived Cubs baseball. Photo albums from Cubs conventions littered her front sitting room. We would swap stories of staying up till 1 a.m. for the West Coast trips. And she would sit at my Little League games wearing a Cubs hat or, hey, I brought this Cubs scarf. I knew that my grandma could recite the starting lineup better than my closest friends, and this fandom makes sense. Cubs fans are nothing if not loyal. It would have been understandable if she had wanted to root for another team after 97 years of losing, but she never did. She stood by her Cubs just as she stood by her family. The Cubs were such a part of her identity that as the pallbearers at her funeral, my cousins and I had Cubs logos on our white gloves. So, I went into the Cubs playoff run with an unusual amount of conflicting emotions. Excitement that my team, my family's team, was the favorite to win the World Series. Guilt that my kids and I might experience a win when my grandma never did. Hope that as I threw her scarf around my shoulders before every game, that she would somehow, some way, be able to witness the moment with us. If not just, and I was like, hoping that she would give a little otherworldly nudge to the Cubs, come on, Graham. And a little bit of curiosity as to whether or not my kids were actually magical talisman. Those of you who know baseball or heard Miss Burdick a couple minutes ago know the script that follows. Thanks, Abra. But the script read a bit differently for me. Javi Baez, my son's absolute favorite player, hits a game-winning solo home run to beat the Giants in Game 1 of the NLDS. A few days later, the Cubs went on to score 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning in Game 4 to clinch the series. I had, in my frustration, and I'm ashamed to admit this, I had flipped away from the game. But in the process of putting the kids to bed, I flipped back one quick time. My daughter sitting next to me, and we saw together the first hit of that improbable comeback. We shared a knowing glance. Magic. Game 4 of the NLCS. After 2 straight shutouts, the Cubs come roaring back thanks to home runs from Anthony Rizzo and Addison Russell. My son's name is also Russell. Russell Anderson, Addison Russell. We can make it work. And I sat down to Game 7 of the World Series with my children to my right, my parents and wife to my left, each with our respective Cubs apparel. My dad and I with the Ron Santo jerseys we wore during our visit to Cooperstown for his induction. I had my scarf. My son had his personalized Anderson 4 Cubs jersey, and my daughter had her Cubs shirt and a red and blue hair tie. Oh, I brought it, this red and blue hair tie. It was originally for 4th of July, but it can be for Cubs too. So we convinced her. We settled in just in time to see Dexter Fowler's home run inch past the reach of Rajai Davis to put the Cubs up 1-0. Dexter turned to the dugout and screamed, and we turned to each other. I shouted to my kids, "You're good luck!" I thought to myself, oh my God, they're good luck. I tightened the scarf around my neck. New skin. The game was going well. You hear those details. John Lester in Game 7 pitched and gave up no earned runs. David Ross hit a solo home run in the 6th inning to lead off the 6th inning to give the Cubs 6 runs. And I thought, this is actually going to happen. Then in the 8th inning, Rajai Davis hit a 2-out, 2-run homer over the left field wall, tying the game. I crumpled to the ground, face down on the carpet, immobile. In my mind, and I had built this impossible castle of things. My kids' sorcery, my grandma's presence next to me in that moment, all of it disappeared. I did not look up, I did not move until the 9th inning was over, which was about 15 or 20 minutes, until the rain came. It became too late for my parents to stay, so they went home to watch the game by themselves. My kids were already in bed, and my wife, unable to put up with my irrational mood swings, went to watch the game upstairs. But before my mom left, she said, "Put Kari's hair tie around your wrist for good luck." So I did. And the 10th inning happened, and I started crying for a reason I didn't understand, or maybe was just beginning to understand. I was standing with my hands behind my head in disbelief, and I looked over, and I saw my daughter's hair tie on my wrist, resting on top of my grandma's scarf, which was just above the Cubs jersey I wore on my trip to Cooperstown with my dad. I realized that all this historic victory, wasn't really about good luck or magic. It wasn't even about a 97-year winless drought. It was about us, my family, my kids sleeping above me, my grandma, perhaps above them, and the thread that connects them to each other. At first I thought that thread was baseball. But the more I thought about it, the more I see it's not baseball at all. Yes, from my grandma, my kids have inherited a love of the Cubs, but more importantly, they inherited the belief that they have powers greater than they realize. That their little arms and legs can move mountains, that they can make anything happen if they want it bad enough. And for that, I feel a gratitude I cannot quite express. It's a gift better than any World Series ring. Thank you. There's like 2 minutes left here. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask the panel? Yes, sir.
No, he still has this.
My favorite player? Current player or like any Cubs player? Current player? I mean, I like Anthony Rizzo. He's been there the longest. Yeah, Anthony Rizzo. Ms. Burdick? Also Anthony Rizzo. Ms. Fritz? Also Anthony Rizzo. Cool. Hey, thanks guys a lot. Appreciate it.
My charging cord was left here.
I haven't seen it.